one of India's biggest brands, Tanishq, owned by the Tata Group, has pulled an ad, not because it's actually a communal ad, but because it promotes communal harmony. Is that the India we're living in today? I'm joined now by Santosh Desai. Well, he's a brands analyst and a social commentator as well. Mr. Desai, your reactions on the fact that bizarrely we've actually removed an ad which promotes religious harmony. Shouldn't it be the other way around?
Well, it should. In any normal kind of society, you would expect that this is the kind of ad that you would want advertisers to promote. But I think given the political climate of the day, any attempt to depict any form of communal amity and to suggest that the communities actually get along with each other and have tolerance for each other and create space for each other seems to touch a raw nerve. And this is not the first time this has happened. There seems to be a pattern that we've seen. And I think this the reaction to the Tanishq ad, therefore, has run true to form.
In fact, Mr. Desai, as you said, any normal society should welcome an ad like this. But let's just look at the fact that, this is often driven by online trolls. Ironically, even though it's used politically in some states, the government has told Parliament that love jihad as such doesn't really exist. So an online troll backlash is enough to bring one of our biggest corporates to its knees. I mean, frankly, again, as a brands analyst, somebody who knows this industry, if Tata's or Tanishq had stuck to their ground, would it actually not have paid off for them?
Well, it's a call that eventually, it's a commercial call that corporations take. The fact of the matter is that while they may give out messages that have social kind of causes, attached to them, that the primary interest is to protect their own commercial interests. And I think that's where the conflict comes in when there is a backlash of this kind. I think it's fair to say that the problem with online backlash is the fact that at one level it is very, very overwhelming in the moment, but it's also transient. So I think it is possible for corporations to sort of ride it out because, in 2 days later, there'll be something else in the Sushant Rajput case and this will go off air. So I think it is possible, even from a commercial perspective, for organizations to take a longer view. But I think the immediate pressures of a situation like this, and given the larger political climate, I think this becomes almost a quasi-political decision. It doesn't stay a commercial decision.
Right,
and that's what I think.
I think that's interesting because even the Tanishq statement said that we didn't intend for these sentiments, and they said the safety of our employees and our stores was also behind this decision. So as you made that point about quasi-political, that anybody with a group of hooligans who can stream live or can attack a store and the fallout of that. But then are we also shrinking our space? I mean, if India, there was this whole point that how India's biggest actors are not standing up for Bollywood. I mean, if India Inc. doesn't stand up for itself, who actually will? And again, as I said, if online bullies, and this has been again said online, that you have vocal stars, you have vocal young women actors who are coming out, but Tata's or Tanishq don't have the guts to defend a decision like this.
Well, I think a reflection of the overall political climate today. I think the important thing for corporations and brands is that, increasingly we see them taking political and social stances. I think it's important that you go into it with your eyes open. If you are going to take a stance, then you cannot be naive and be surprised when you get a reaction like this. Either you take a stance like that knowing that you will get a reaction and then deciding to stay the course, or you don't. If you believe that you don't have what it takes to stand your ground, then don't go in for messaging of this kind. So I think at one level that is the practical kind of a way out. On the other hand, I think what you say is true. I think the space is shrinking, and I don't think that's accidental. I think that's deliberate. I think the idea is to give that message loud and clear that if anybody crosses a certain line, which is laid down in political terms, there will be consequences. And I think that's what we are seeing at work.
No, but do you think that sometimes this whole online trolling or sometimes gets amplified? The best way to actually face up to bullies or to trolls, I mean, this is not just in India but internationally, is to face up to them. I mean, how much can an online trend of 24 hours actually be a threat? I mean, do we overemphasize the importance of online trolling?
Well, but in this case, it's not just that. As you said, that there is the potential of it sort of overflowing into the physical world, where you can have stores attacked and employees at risk. I mean, that's not a hyperbolic kind of a statement from the organization. That's a real possibility. So I think that's one. And the second is that there is the anxiety that corporations have that this is not an isolated. It's not just a bunch of trolls on Twitter. but that they have a backing of the state, and there is an implicit backing of the state that is behind this, and therefore that is the consideration that I think a lot of corporations are much more worried about than just the fact that you face a temporary online storm.
No, and you're right. We've seen also the impact on the share price today of Titan as well, given that whole controversy. But again, I do say that I think if anyone can stand up, it has to be our biggest industrial houses. But thanks so much, Santosh Desai, for your perspective. It was great to have you on the show.